All right, who has a 100-word summary of all the trouble you got into last week?
We
We
actually
had
didn't get into any trouble last week.
I have a one-word summary of
Yeah.
last week. Run!
I thought he was going to say nipples.
Oh, yeah, that too.
He has a 2-word summary then.
Run from the nipples.
We went on a pleasant date with a man with an incredible hook nose and mermaid nipples and merman nipples, not
The
mermaid.
Romans thought that the hook nose was very auspicious. I don't know what their position was on pointy nipples, though.
And then, suddenly somebody did a, I don't know, is that doing an imperialism?
War were declared.
War were declared, yeah.
Yep, war were declared. And that city gone. They destroyed a holy monument.
We can't prove it yet, but we're pretty sure they're coming straight here.
So yeah,
I just have a feeling.
we did some groundwork to scout and things like that, and everything will be fine. We will stop the. We'll get the good ending, the secret ending, in the prologue of this week in game.
Trinity could never fall.
Actually, isn't the secret ending in Suikoden where you just leave the war and never fight it?
You could do that in a couple of the games, yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's
It's
like,
like the secret good ending. That's probably what I would do.
it's screw this, I'm gone. This sucks. War sucks.
I would like to think there's somebody out there who played this week. I think Suikoden 4 lets you actually end the game that way, and then they just shut the game off, and that was it for them.
They won.
Ew.
Good ending.
We win, satisfied.
They figured it out. There are no winners at war unless.
You didn't even get to the war in Suikoden 4 if you do that. It turns into shitty Harvest Moon.
Like really shitty Harvest Moon, which is weird because Harvest Moon is already kind of shitty.
Don't go there.
I went
will
there.
fight you. I will fight you. Not during Christmas, Brookroad.
It's not Christmas yet. It's only the 12th.
It is the Christmas holiday season.
2 days pass. You guys had sent familiars down the river. So I'll give you a quick overview of kind of what's happening up and down the
I
river.
think we also sent them down the coast, too, because there were 2 possible avenues of attack.
Yeah, and I've got all my notes here. We'll go over all of it. The local lords of Gran Fernisco and Mendelin, whose banners have been raised. So in a few of the hexes around here, in the north part of the river, forces are looking strong. Pavilions and camps are going up to stand in defense. Ships are being sent downriver as well. There are fewer forces from Werowet because there's this kind of little piddling mountain range in the way. So while the word has been sent out, most likely any forces arriving from Werowet would have to march north into Gran Fernisco towards Brennanine. Getting through this mountain range is not really something that's going to happen when you're talking about the scale of movements of armies. Following down the river, you see that many of the villages along the river, fishing villages and whatnot, are emptied out as word has come north from Nornir. A lot of these small villages have retreated to the keeps of their local lords or larger holdfasts, basically for safety. They don't want to be around when ships start coming north. When you get to the mouth of this lake here, this is where you see a lot of Endoline fleet marshaling up, and it is massive. They are the best shipbuilders in the world, essentially. They have ships specifically for naval combat on wide rivers. Ships with shallow drafts and great sails that can sail at speeds that the Brennanine ships would not be capable of. It's also long been rumored that they have ships that are powered by various types of magic, though obviously none of your Republic engineers have been able to replicate that or actually confirm that. Nobody knows for certain. It's just kind of a rumor that goes around. Endoline forces control the entire river south of the lake. Many of the villages along the lake or along this river have been sacked and burned. And then by the time you get to the bay here, the entire bay is under their control as well. The city of Nornir, the best reports you're getting are still from Ruby's scrying spell, which they're having. Basically, she's doing it once per day, providing whatever updates they can. Do you guys still have Kristen at the manor, or have we sent him?
I was gonna turn him over basically. I think after the first day, like I feel like we've gotten anything useful we would out of him.
Okay. After that first day, the church basically they put out a statement that's very business as usual in Brennanine, very keep calm, carry on kind of rhetoric. But the general consensus from the High Aethar filtering on down through the ranks and then filtering out into the populace is that Endoline is waging a crusade against the Republic in order to reclaim the Holy Church, but the Holy Church came north after the schism for a reason. It wasn't political. Aer put the church here because Endoline was unworthy of it. And as long as the strength of the church remains in Brennanine, Brennanine will stand secure and stand safe. Martial presence in the city also increases quite a lot over the next 2 days. The routine, in the morning, a small contingent arrives. Ruby no longer comes down to breakfast. By the time your guys convene for breakfast, she is already woken, dressed, and went off to do her work. Ekon, you release Crescent into custody of the church after the first day.
Yep.
And the story you present is basically just what he told you. Is that correct?
Yeah, that we had earlier subverted his cult and that he surrendered to us in the hopes of saving lives. And I will say that while I don't know that that has functionally happened yet, I would say that his intent is genuine, and I would prefer if you keep that in mind when it comes to his punishment. Obviously, for now, we have more important things to worry about.
Well, as of now, he still has use because he has contacts in Nornir that can be the target of Ruby's scrying spells.
Yep.
Nonetheless, they clap him in irons and they take him prisoner.
I'll also hand over his spellcasting focus to the higher ups in the church.
Yeah, they don't give it to him. They take that into custody and.
Yeah, no, I wasn't intending that.
They probably put it.
Just saying, I'm not carrying. Just for the record, I am not carrying that anymore.
They put it in a lead-lined box behind a blast shield.
Yeah.
Close the bay doors.
Ace of Fire cultists.
Make sure there's a fire suppression system around it.
So on the course of like a 2-day cycle, familiars can fly down and send reports up and down the river. And you guys are not the only people doing this. Obviously, the Republic has sent outriders out. Word has been sent to various lords. A lot of fighting is still going on in and around in Mendelin. They're sacking local keeps and holdfasts. And so eventually, like a wave of refugees is going to be arriving at the banks of the lake. That's going to take that's going to be on the scale of weeks, though. Remember, each one of these hexes is about a full day's travel.
And they're moving an army. Yeah.
I mean, the Endely army is on the move in the sense that it's moving around securing their holdings in Mendelin. Like, their strategy obviously is not to leave Mendelin at their backs. They will not have enemies to the back as they march north. They are well provisioned. They have long supply lines that trail all the way back to the kingdom. They functionally control the entire coast. I'm not sure where it is on this map, but somewhere down, like maybe here, a few days to the south, would be their northern border with Mendelin. And then, of course, to their west, they have the mountains of Werowet, where there's not going to be much fighting. They're also going to be able to control this river as they come north. But right now, the whole city is kind of holding its breath over the course of the next week or so, getting these daily reports. You guys are getting more accurate information than most people, simply because you guys have your own familiars, and Ruby is one of the people doing the scrying spells. The church is releasing a filtered but not inaccurate version of those reports. Basically putting some spin on it to make it sound like there's nothing for the common people in Brennan to worry about. Nonetheless, Ruby and Nigel have this plan in case the city is sacked. The Triumvirate in Brennan, so the offices of the High Aethar, High Tradesman, and High Speaker, are arranging a secret safe room within the city confines, whose location none of you know. Ruby and Cormac would be going to ground at that location. Ruby doesn't know where it is yet, because it's not close enough to time. What she does know is that there is an escape route from it, which she doesn't know anything about. She surmises it might be a teleportation circle. Or like a secret tunnel out of the city, or some other kind of escape. She's not sure. Nigel, who's officially the speaker, plans to remain in the city with a contingent of men-at-arms at his household to stand in the city's defense. This is expected of him as speaker. And it becomes quickly apparent that Valeri intends to stand with him if it comes to that. The rest of the household will be split in half. Elisabetta will take the children and the old dowager as one group. They've secured a ship called the Ashel Dam. Bring up the city map again. So you guys are... I always lose Dead Rabbit Way on this map. It's somewhere. Aha. Yeah, they've assured a ship called the Ashel Dam in one of the western docks very near to Dead Rabbit Way. So one of these inner docks here. That ship is going to take Elisabetta and the children and the old dowager safely out of the city before an attack actually lands. The rest of the family, so you guys, Orson, and Denny, they've arranged a second ship called the Milfoil. The Milfoil will be leaving from a dock closer to the cathedral up in the north part of the city. The idea is that if you split the family in half, it increases the chances that some or all of you survive. The more dangerous of the two to reach is the one closer to the cathedral, which is why that's where you guys and Orson and Denny will be going. Including any of your attendants that you want to bring with you. So that's it.
Are we
That's
missing a brother
the
in
plan.
there, Lugrin? Where's he? Is he with us or is he with the non-fighters?
Oh yeah, no, Lugrin would be going with you as well. He is old enough. I forgot Lugrin existed when I wrote that note.
But Giannis is with the other children, I assume.
Giannis is 10.
Yeah.
So,
Just making sure no one's getting left behind. I don't want a Home Alone situation.
so
In our benefit.
dude, you're gonna get reports a year from now, like you're huddled down and a refugee somewhere. It's like the Evelyn army was defeated by swinging paint buckets. We don't know what went wrong.
That would actually be a fantastic premise for a campaign.
I've run that campaign. It was a one shot in a. It was like the Home Alone house. I forget. It was. I got it on DM's Guild. I think it was fun. So the idea is that any men-at-arms that Nigel can spare would be going with his mother and the governess and the children to secure a boat closer to where the manor is, while you guys will you might end up having to fight your way to the Milfoil.
Have they raised the feudal vassals? Like, did they send word back to Southhorn to begin like raising an army among the people sworn to serve their feudal lords? Like, is that started, or is it just the ones that are men at arms that came to the city with them?
They have, but those kind of reinforcements will not be arriving.
Yeah.
On a time like that.
Right.
Those plans would be like governors throughout the rest of the city. If the city gets sacked and the triumvirate is lost somehow, then it would be those armies will have to come up with a strategy to combine and then retake the city.
And that's like our great aunt is the actual head of the family back in Southhorn who will be raising those.
Right, that's her job.
Yeah. Okay.
So that being said, you guys do have about a week of relative peace as the news of Endeline forces securing their position in Mendelin roll in. Is anybody doing anything during the next 7 days or so?
So it's 7 days from when we sent our familiars off, right?
Your familiars has been spending this time going up and down the river and down to the coast of Nornir. And yeah, you can get daily reports from them. You can hook up telepathically.
I am literally just locking myself in my workshop working.
On what?
Just the magic item that I was working on.
Okay.
Trying to get as much done as I can.
Yeah, so you can spend 7 work days doing that uninterrupted.
Mm-hmm.
I guess Victor is gonna go use his stealthy rogue senses to try and find out more about what the various escape plans are and where people are planning to go.
For
Especially
who?
the
So I'll tell you this for
primarily
nothing. The general population doesn't have an escape plan.
Yeah, primarily like where the triumvirates plan to go after this, where the new capital is planned to be established.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much risk is Victor willing to take upon himself to learn that information?
I'd say like a 4.
This is need to know information that Ruby needs to know, but she doesn't need to know it yet. She knows there is a safe house, but she doesn't know where it's going to be yet.
We're gonna say a 4.
You're gonna say a 4.
Oh man, come on! Don't be a coward.
Roll
Victor
me
is the coward of the
a.
group.
How are you trying to get this information? Like what skill are we looking to use here?
Sort of skulking and lurking stealth type stuff,
So okay, you're gonna sneak into somewhere and try to learn this information.
or listening at doors and overhearing people's conversations, following people and see what they say when they think no one's around.
Right, but to get to the relevant people who are going to have that information, you're going to be sneaking into some high effort locations. Like you're not like this isn't something you're going to put your ear up to Ruby's door in here.
Are you gonna Are you using? You could just don't forget you have a spider currently.
He does have a spider. Yeah, the spider. He's gonna go do some spider sensing.
Make me a stealth check. DC is 25.
It's a very high DC.
Well, I can tell you right now, that's not going to happen.
Then you identify like the high tradesman or the high speaker and think I'm going to sneak onto their grounds and sneak into the back door of their household or send my spider in. But you're discovered and rebuffed from the property. And then they're on the lookout for you after that. And Ruby's not happy about it. She got a report that somebody was poking around. You've accomplished nothing and you feel bad about it. Good day, sir. But I'm not going to kill you on only a 4. You got to go up to it. I mean, I shagged McDohl, but he told me a 10, so.
Yeah, no.
That can't be the first time I shanked you on a 10. Like, you said 10 before.
I know that like Nick would often go for 10, like basically.
Nick said 11.
Yeah. Nick did say
Sounds like
11.
Nick.
Yeah.
Nick was ride or die. He was straight up F me up, fam. What is Edmont doing over the course of the next week or so?
Edmont is following up with his various contacts in the city and he's not making it plain that the family's going to be skipping town. He's just going to be finding out what he's going to try and get the ground level feel of the city right now.
Well, to be clear, it would be expected for your family to skip town. Like every noble family has made or are making these arrangements. no, it's not an act of cowardice to flee a city before it's sacked.
I thought last session Ruby was like, we will fight to the last man.
Yeah, Victor said let's run. Ruby said fuck you.
Nigel and Valerie are going to.
Well, it's not our obligation to stand with them.
Or the kids. Still.
Does Evie want
We're
to?
adults.
The only thing Victor has to say about that is, thank God Valeri's finally doing something useful.
Oh, Valerie's one of Nigel's oldest friends.
Yeah, but Victor thinks Valeri killed his parents. So.
Edmont, make me a charisma investigation check.
This will be hilarious. I gotta do intelligence because then I wouldn't have a -2 to this. Well,
12?
yeah.
There's a lot of religious fervor in the city amongst the small folk. The general consensus seems to be that war is coming, and so there will be hard times and bloodshed ahead, especially since it's coinciding right with the beginning of winter. But the city sits on a huge lake behind high walls, and you have the protection of God. God has chosen the Republic and Brennanine to be the site of the Holy Church on Earth. So it's not the Endoline will succeed in bleeding the Republic, but not defeat them. That seems to be the general consensus among the people on the ground as you go into the pot shops and poke through the back alleys.
Okay.
What is Ekon doing?
So there are a few things I'd like to do.
Sure.
The first of which is I would like to purchase the materials for, but not start working on like some, expensive inks and incense and gems and whatnot to create spell scrolls in the future.
Okay.
In case I don't have the opportunity to do that where I am in the future, but I don't want to spend time doing that yet.
You just want to spend the materials now and...
Yeah, I just want to convert some gold into floating like scroll scribing material.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Okay. Because I want to spend most of my time going through the clergy and actually trying to find some young, idealistic Aethar to send to that village, partly to maybe save their life in the future when this army comes through. See if I can get someone assigned to that to leave before this army shows up.
Make a... You don't have any official... I mean, you are an ordained Aethar, but you don't have an official standing in... As far as the cathedral is concerned, you're still Platin's acolyte. So
Yep.
I'm going to call this a charisma religion check. You're going to have to personally convince someone else.
Okay.
You don't have the clout to order someone else or pull...
Yeah. +1. Would I be able to, use magic
Actually,
to help
make this... I'll tell you what.
Yeah?
If you care about the quality of the Aethar you sent,
Mm-hmm.
make charisma religion. If you don't care about the quality of the Aethar you send, make charisma religion, add advantage. And yeah, you can add guidance and whatever enhanced ability you have.
What if I actually care about more getting some poor kid that is going to get obviously killed when the city gets invaded rather than, the quality in terms of
That's what the advantage represents.
Okay.
You'll find somebody who's willing to get out of the city right now.
Yeah. All right.
But that person likely won't be the best
So
possible.
that's a 11 with enhanced ability charisma on top of it.
An 11?
Yeah.
I'll let you increase that by 1 per 10 gold you want to spend on it. And if you spend up to 15, so that costs 40 gold as a bribe,
Yeah.
you'll
let's do
find
it.
somebody who's willing to make that journey.
See, it said 40? Okay.
Yeah, 40 gold.
That's fine.
They'll take your 40 golds and a promise of a healthy, fruitful life outside the walls. But I mean, the guy you're sending is not the cream of the crop.
Sure. I mean, I don't think they need... I think any ordained Aethar is going to be better for the village.
This is somebody who knows the words and can conduct a wedding, but that's about it. Okay. Anything else Ekon wants to do?
No. And I don't know, like, it seems like we don't have a lot of real responsibility around the group's finances, so I'm just gonna go ahead and take the scroll material off the party sheet, because, like, nobody asked me for the gems back after I spent them last session, so. I don't know if I have to, like, actually go into Genie's bag to get this stuff, but...
No, it's you can ask, like basically just like if you asked for it, it's yours. Like I'm not gonna fight you on that.
Okay, yeah, I was like, I don't know what our standing procedure is, but Ekon's kind of just been spending party money, like, for things that will help the party without really asking anybody.
Don't you have like 200 gold on you?
That's where I spent that for the bribe.
Oh, okay. So, one quick question for Brick Road, because it just popped in my brain. Our retainers,
Mm-hmm.
If
Oh,
they
that
have
was the other thing I wanted to do. Sorry.
if they have the capability to craft or anything, can they also spend this time doing so?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was also going to have my retainer leave the city and act as a scout, and then when the army's getting, send reports back. But then once the army starts getting within a day or two's travel, just ride back on our own to South Warren.
So you're sending your retainer away?
Yeah, I'm gonna have her, like I said, keep an eye. Like, she's a ranger, she has survival and perception as her skills, and wisdom's her highest stats. So I'm gonna have her keep an eye out about a day's march outside of the city. Send word back into the city once they're within that distance, and then she has orders to ride to South Warren on her own and return to our.
So two things. First, at this moment, people are still able to leave and enter the city freely, but they are beefing up security at the checkpoints. Remember, getting into the city, you either have to come in by ship, or you've got to take one of these tunnels that open up to... There's one... Anywhere there's like a gate on this map, there's a tunnel. Mm-hmm. You can always sneak out of the city if you have to. But what this tells you is that there's going to come a time when entering or leaving will no longer be possible. It's
right.
Not...
I mean, I'll have my familiar come back. I'm sure there's plenty of other familiars, and I'll have my familiar specifically used for communication with her. But
the other thing,
that way she doesn't have to come back into the city.
The other thing is that you can give the order, but there's no way in hell she's going to travel all the way back to South Warren without you. It is the nature of your retainer to be loyal to you unto death. So if you give them an order that they think might lead you to harm, like at best she'll leave the city and scout, but she's going to spend that time because she knows that you guys are going to be escaping on this ship.
Yeah.
She's not going to travel back to South Warren. She's going to spend her days trying to find out where that ship ended up and meet back up with you.
Okay.
This is something you would understand even giving her that order. Right.
I mean, I think it's so in that case it's like that's what I've told her to do. Now I know what she's actually going to do, but so far, like, officially as a person sworn to serve my family, that's what she's supposed to be doing.
Remember that scene where Samwise steps out into the lake instead of staying behind? What is Evie doing for this week?
Evie is going to go call upon Jean de Vale Erdal.
Okay. To what end?
She wants to get the perspective of another noble about what's going on, and she wants to see if there's any possibility of getting Veritas and Erdal kind of in like a mutual cooperation, because I know those two houses don't really get along, but she would like to know that there's another house that has House Veritas back right now.
As far as houses that have your back, for sure, House Bulk, House Oleander, House... Those are the two major ones in the city. House Hines is an exile house.
Not really clear what our relationship is with Amberson right now. It seemed like we were real close yesterday.
Close and getting closer because, I mean, word's starting to get out that... But the problem with House Amberson is they represent Mendelin. And Mendelin is getting smashed right now. There's not going to be a... By the time Brennan gets attacked, there's not going to be a Mendelin. So it could turn out, if the war goes savagely, that House Amberson also ends up as an exile house. Bear with me as I pull up my cheat sheet for the various houses.
While he's looking at that, I am just going to take 100 gold pieces from the party loot and have my retainer make 4 potions, so everybody has one, excluding Orson.
Evie,
Yes.
your goal. Let me think about how I want to handle this. You would never be rebuffed by a noble house if you showed up making a social call. It might be considered slightly rude to show up at a house with whom you don't have an existing relationship, but not to the point where like you lose standing for it. You know what I mean? Like, so if you just showed up at their manor to have a sit down and a quick discussion, either in a social capacity or an official capacity, there'd be nothing really out of sorts with that. My question to you is, after being admitted into their sitting room, well, where are you trying to get admitted to? Like, are you coming in for tea and crumpets, or are you asking to be like admitted into their war room?
Whatever he's willing to spare time to speak. I know they're all real busy right now.
Okay. Then yeah, they spare a few moments for you. Are you bringing anyone with you or going alone?
I think everyone else is busy.
Okay.
My attendant might be with me.
Okay. Then yeah, they take the time to make polite conversation, but you don't, unless you go out of your way to do something else than have polite conversation, you're not going to learn anything you didn't already know, which is that Eredal must have, I mean, their speaker will have official duties in the city. Their speaker, or whoever their speaker designates, will be admitted into this safe room that they're planning. And that you're sure that House Eredal has their own methodology of getting the lesser members of their house to safety if the city is going to be sacked. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much risk are you willing to assume to learn house secrets beyond that?
Come on.
What would that risk entail?
It's a good question.
Like saying I'm going to go sneak into somewhere? Because I didn't come here to make trouble.
Okay, so that sounded like a 1 or a 0 to me then.
Mm-hmm.
So you speak.
It sounds like he doesn't want to talk to me.
It's not that he doesn't want to talk to you. You speak briefly about the coming war. You speak briefly about. I don't know if you've broached the subject to them about this land deal that you're trying to broker, but it's just a polite afternoon conversation. They don't do anything to cut it short, and they don't rebuff you at all. But they're not going to show you their cards. You would have to go sneaking around if you want to learn more than that.
I was hoping maybe I could leverage that sort of semi-relationship that we had started to develop, but it sounds like they aren't very interested in talking to me.
I mean, you don't give them any of your secrets either, to be fair.
No.
Are you offering a trade, or?
I mean, need to think about that. I mean, I guess what I'm looking for is like a strategic cooperation to ensure the mutual survival of as many people as possible in the event that the battle should go badly.
To that end, a lot of conversations are happening between the great houses of Brennanine. So especially all of the speakers' households and whatnot. That word has been sent out to the various provinces that in the case Brennanine has been sacked, an army like the Republic has not seen since the Day of Conquest will be raised up to retake the city. And if that happens, they're certain that Eredal and Veritas will stand together as Losteria and South Warren march south to retake the Holy City. And he raises a glass to you on that. So, polite platitudes. And you don't get the sense that he's lying about it, but...
Are he and I alone?
No.
No.
There are
If he and I were
servants in the room.
if he and I were alone, she might take the conversation in a different direction, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Okay. Low risk, that's okay. It just means you don't get shivved in an alley. I think I threw somebody off a mountain when they said a 10 once. All right. Let's move forward to the night of. It's evening. You guys have partaken the evening meal after about a week or so. So a very tense week in the city, but again, spirits are high. There's religious fervor around. And your scouts up and down the river have continuously reported that they've encroached somewhat up the river, but no further than that lake. The villages to the north of that have retreated to their local holdfasts. And every day, more and more soldiers amass at the army south of the lake. Nobody's sure yet if that army is going to be marching south or not. There's some contention on that point. A few times over the week, Abernathy and the Amberson twins call upon the house. And obviously, their family is devastated. And these are just social calls. These are like... You can tell that a lot of things are weighing on them very heavily, to the point that, like, their Lord Father is not even available to them. He's just exhausted and busy around the clock, trying to coordinate 30 different things at once. So the three of them, well, two of them, Donique just kind of gets dragged along, sort of look to you just to break the tension in their lives a little bit. So they're all put on a pleasant mask, but you can tell that underneath there's a lot of grief happening. After the evening meal, you hear voices raised downstairs. Ruby's not home yet on this day. She's been coming home later and later. And Ekon, you recognize one of the voices being raised as Aethar Pladen, and he's calling out your name. You can't hear a lot of the conversation. It sounds like one of the servants at the front door is trying to rebuff him from entering the house.
I'll go down and see what's going on.
When you go down, you see that Pladen is there. He's dressed in the black leathers of the nights when he's met you out in the city to do the work, and not in his Aethar garb. Mm-hmm. And he has a longsword in a sheath to his side. This might be the first time you've seen him armed. Thus, in his left hand, he's holding a length of rope, which is tied around the neck of Chrisen, who is looking a shambles. He's still shackled at his wrists, and Chrisen has been leading him through town by the neck. He looks badly bruised, and he looks like he hasn't been getting a lot of sleep. And as soon as you enter his eye line, Pladen calls out, Ekon, we may have more trouble than we've thought. And you can tell that he's been in an argument with your house servant.
I'll wave the house servants away, and I'll tell one of them to go upstairs and get my cousins and Orson.
Okay. Pladen asks you to bring a chair forth.
Sure.
And as you drag it in, Chrisen kind of collapses down into it. Pladen lets go of the rope, and it hangs limply to the side of the chair. And Chrisen, you can tell that he's trying to reach up and cradle his temple in his hands, but the bonds on his wrists are preventing him from doing it in a comfortable way. The rest of you come downstairs and see this spectacle as well, and Ekon has sent the servants from the room.
Do we still have visitors, like the
The Ambersons.
No, you have no
Ambersons.
visitors tonight. It was just you were in the middle of your evening meal with the family.
Okay, all right.
It's just you guys.
Well, Aethar, I'm assuming this is not a social call.
Pladen tells you that 2 days ago he had rescued Chrisen from his cell where he was being mistreated in the cathedral, but that he doesn't think a lot of the man's current physical difficulties are necessarily the result of that mistreatment. And you can tell that Chrisen, like, his eyes are glassy and he's having difficulty forming words. Platten tells you that yesterday he was more coherent. And something in the air is bothering him, like a heavy weight is pushing inward on his head. And that's as much description as he was able to get out of him. Platten eventually figured, nerds to this. This guy was Ekon's prisoner before he was brought here. If anybody can get more out of him than that, it might be Ekon. Of course, this would not
Obviously,
be an official capacity.
do
for
anything, but it's some.
Maybe a wash and striking off these irons, and a good meal would do his head some good.
Yeah, I agree to that, and I'll kind of look very purposefully at Edmont.
Is Edmont the one who gives the sponge baths?
No, Edmont's the one who put him in irons when he was here.
Oh, okay. I mean, he deserved to be in irons.
I mean,
he's a terrorist.
Is it the same irons that we sent him up there in?
I mean, we didn't beat him when he was in the irons.
Okay, hang on. Before anybody turns this guy loose, I need to make sure that he isn't about to transform into a fire monster like that other guy did.
Well, he doesn't have a spell focus.
That doesn't necessarily mean he can't do something terrible.
Wouldn't be a bad idea to check him.
I mean, he's wearing rags right now. He's been in the dungeons.
Yeah, let's get him. I would say let's get him into a bath or something. But I'm also going to try and do a medicine check as we do that to see if I can figure out if there's anything physically wrong with him.
Are you trained in
magic on
Arcana?
him?
It sounds like Genie's using Arcana and I'm using.
I'm asking if Ekon is trained in Arcana.
Oh yes.
Okay, go ahead and make that medicine check at advantage.
Okay.
Evie is not comfortable having this man in her house again.
Victor is also not comfortable knowing how much disdain he has for us.
How comfortable are you knowing that the Endeling Crusade is massing up outside your borders?
Well,
That's a
one thing
lot.
at a time.
That is a lot.
That is a
I don't believe Andor's
28.
Physically, I mean, he's been roughed over by jailers, probably trying to put him to the question about his terrorist cell, which, fair enough. Physically, there's nothing the matter with him. A day of bed rest, a good night's sleep, and a meal would do him a world of good. If you really wanted to, you had magical healing at your disposal. But there's something definitely wrong. He's acting and wincing. And do you guys take off the irons?
Yeah,
You'd
that
have
was the first thing I did.
You'd have to strike them off. These are no longer Edmont's irons. So you don't have a key for them.
Yeah, that's gonna have to be Genie who does that.
Yeah, small Genie.
Okay. So you can tell he's suffering from terrible migraines, and his tongue is very swollen in his mouth, and his eyeballs seem swollen in their sockets. His eyes are very glassy, and you can see streaks on the sides of the wrinkles of his eyes where it looks like he had been bleeding, like a burst blood vessel. And he's giving every indication that he's suffering from terrible migraines.
Is he able to talk any, or is he not able to make any coherent sentences?
He babbles inadvertently, but you can tell that right now he's in a lot of pain.
All right.
The source of this pain has to be magical in nature. There's nothing physically the matter with him.
I'm not an
Victor
HR,
will-
but I can tell there's all kinds of things wrong with this man.
Victor will kind of step forward and kind of put an arm and push Ekon back a little bit. Say, hold on, I got this. And then he will establish a telepathic communication with our good friend Christian.
Make a charisma saving throw. Oh, I don't have dice. I need all of my dice.
That
Way
one.
back here in the
19.
tunnel.
That's
Slacker.
really good, because this is probably going to hurt you.
What kind of saving throw?
19.
19? Not bad. It's pretty good. That's a pass.
Thank goodness we're all trained in charisma.
You only need half of all of your dice.
This might be a silly question. Is Victor resistant to cold damage?
No.
Victor takes 20 points of psychic damage, which you can reduce by half. So 10 points because you made the save.
Victor will yell out.
So you establish a telepathic link with Chrisen, and immediately whatever he's suffering from transmits across that link into your own brain. you feel your brain swelling against your skull and your skull against the inside of your head. And the light in the room becomes 1,000 times brighter. Victor drops to the ground, head in hands, groaning in pain. However, as long as you maintain the connection, you can speak to Kristen.
Okay. After that initial shock, which knocked Victor on his ass, he's going to attempt to find out what the hell they did to him.
He explains that he's suffering. So there's no limitation to his telepathic communication. It's just you guys are speaking over the mind link, yes?
Yes.
Okay. He explains that part of the nature of his sect's magic is to be very sensitive to elemental magic. And great elemental magic is sourcing up around the lake as we speak.
That is not good.
Victor will relay this information to the party.
And after you get that information from him, you can tell that he's sending it even with some difficulty. And then he flops forward in his chair, just passed out.
I'd say that's time to get to the boats.
Is there any house in the city that specializes in water magic?
In water magic?
I know there's a house that does fire and does air and does earth, but I don't know if water has come up. They are the only people who might be able to defend the city against whatever's about to happen.
We're about to get wiped out of the map by a tidal wave.
Erdal is big on weather magic.
That'll probably be the closest.
Yeah, Ekon is already yelling up the stairs to start getting all the children to that boat and get it the hell out of here.
Yeah,
Well, right, as of now, the boat is not prepped for leaving. There's been no word that the armies have been marshaling or been on the move.
Well, we'll prep it on the way.
Victor starts yelling for Ruby as he kind of...
Ruby's
She's
not
not
home.
here.
Ruby is...
Is
Ruby and Cormac are gone.
Is our father? Is
Nigel? Oh yeah, he's
Nigel?
there. He's in the room with you, watching this situation play out.
And Victor is telling Nigel to get people in the boats now.
Get to the boats. It's like a chopper, but medieval.
No.
They can fish along the way if they don't have food.
Nigel nods, and he gets the servants together. And he hands each of them two already prepared letters. The idea is one's going to run to each boat, and it's... The question is, Veritas would have a distinct advantage right now to prep their escape plan first, or... Actually, you know what? I'm not going to ask you this. Nigel's not going to ask you guys' opinion on this. Nigel is going to draft immediately a third letter and sending this information to be distributed amongst the other houses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay.
We can't sit on this.
That's above my pay grade. That's up to Nigel.
Yeah.
I was thinking, is this a PC decision? No, just Nigel knows what's right.
Yeah.
I feel like Victor would be like, we'll tell them, but we'll wait an hour. Once we're well away, then we'll...
Victor will wait till we're out of the city and then tell them to send the note.
That
Well,
seems
how-
like a we're fucking collaborators. Like, no, I don't think so.
How
Victor's
long
like,
does it take for these boats to get to the shore? Is this tidal wave going to happen as we're setting out?
they're docked and provisioned. It's just a matter of the captains are gonna have to recall the crew. So within the hour or so, maybe two.
I just want to make sure we're not about to sail into a tidal wave.
It's not going to matter.
All of
Yeah,
the
no, but-
experts in this situation are that have examined the situation agree currently. The church's official stance, I should say, is that a wave on the scale of the one that hit Nornir would not be possible here because you sit upon a lake and not upon the ocean.
Well, they didn't
That's
just
what they're saying.
magic.
That's
Well-
why I like to consult with a water expert magic, or water
Well-
magic expert.
I will say, I will bring up that when Jeannie asked this question, Brickroad pointed out to her that this is a very large lake.
It is a very large lake and it's a very deep lake.
So,
Genie, is your lab able to fit in your bag?
I have everything I need with my toolkits, and I have my toolkits on me.
So I'll say it'll take about 2 hours to get everything prepared to where you guys are ready to leave. and get aboard these ships. What are you guys doing with? Well, let's ask this. What are you doing with Christen over the course of the next 2 hours?
I mean, Ekon, as soon as we're making preparations for the ship, he's gonna say, Plaid and Chrism, you're with us. Plaid, do you think you can get a stretcher and get him onto the boat with us?
I mean, he can carry him, or he can slap him back awake.
What about the Ambersons and their nipple boat?
That thing won't make it across the lake.
You're probably right.
If you want to go grab your future husband,
I'm picturing Abernathy standing at the front of the boat, like fencing rapier in hand, just sailing slowly towards the Endoline fleet.
What a way to go.
What is there is a character in Suikoden that is that exact thing, and I'm trying to picture his name. Oh god, there's like a character like that in every game with the floppy hat and the rapier. And
what I'm saying is he's not going to survive this unless you go get him, basically.
So when you send runners over to the Amberson household, the Amberson manor is dark. I mean, there are servants about and stuff, but the speaker is upon official duties, and the girls in Abernathy are not home.
Maybe they're bailing, bouncing out of town, just like us.
Possible.
Jeannie, does your bag have space for a? Let's see here.
My bag is full of a cannon.
Okay. So it does not have space for a 1,500 gold piece mirror.
Why do you have a 1,500 gold piece mirror?
To cast the spying spell.
Oh, you know what's a good idea is we need to make sure there's nothing in the vault that we cannot let fall into enemy hands.
Yeah.
That's Nigel's.
Yeah,
decision.
that's gonna be Nigel's purview.
Okay.
Same thing, I think, with the mirror. To be honest.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to.
I was gonna leave the font. There's 2 scrying vessels in the tower.
I mean, how big is this mirror? Because remember, it's got to fit in the. It's got to fit into the mouth of my bag.
Okay. It's probably too big for that.
Mirror in the bag.
Just in the bag. We'll put it. It's like the ward, except for items.
So what are you doing with Christen over the course of the next 2 hours while you wait for the ships to be prepared? You're gonna get word
Does
back.
it seem like he's going to? Is he getting worse? Is this?
Well, he's unconscious right now.
For him? Can we help him? Can we stop whatever is hurting him?
No, so far nobody's offered him any aid. Nobody's.
Is there anything that we can do that can ease his suffering?
We have to get him away from the elemental magic.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'll hit him with a healing word and see if that does anything.
Okay, and that restores hit points, yes.
Yeah.
So some of his physical bruises,
6 points back.
And
hey, what about me?
Bernard just to kind of carefully shake himself conscious again.
Victor needs some healing too.
There's a lot of crosstalk right now. Sorry.
So I'm going to assume Victor's telepathic link breaks once he's knocked unconscious. You can't telepathically talk to somebody who's not awake. Unless the class feature specifically says it can do that, unconscious means you can't communicate.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I know it can end if he wants to end it.
That's what the dream spell is for.
Just because they can't communicate doesn't necessarily mean the link is broken.
Christen... He has difficulty speaking to the rest of you, but after he receives a bit of magical healing, where do you guys put him for the next 2 hours? You just leave him sitting in a chair in your foyer?
I mean, let's put him a little more secure, but...
Okay.
Is there a place on the boat that we can secure him?
Not until you get word back that the boat is ready to receive you. Like, you guys are going to be at the manor for the next hour or two until you get word back.
Is there space on the boat, though, is what I'm asking.
Oh, yeah, it's a merchant's vessel.
Okay, then.
I think... You're thinking we should take Chrism with us?
Yeah, I think Chrism and Pladen should both come with us.
He's been nothing but helpful, to be fair, but that doesn't mean he's not eventually going to try to kill us, whether it's voluntarily or not.
We're not going to allow him run of the place, at the very least.
And amidst his babblings, after he receives a little bit of healing, and he's kind of drifting in and out of consciousness, and you can tell that this presence upon him is taking a toll. But he tells you to... Wind can divert smoke, and cold can freeze the water.
It freeze the water.
They're gonna stop all the ships by freezing the lake. Is that what they're gonna do?
And he passes out.
God damn it.
Okay.
Either telling us that they're going to stop the ships, or if we can freeze the lake, we can stop the tidal wave.
I don't think we have enough magic on the scale to freeze the whole lake.
Probably
No.
not.
But the air dolls have wind.
Pladen tells Ekon when he hears Christen's cryptic words.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to abandon you. I'll try to meet back up at the Milfoil. Is that the name of the boat? Yeah,
All
the
right.
Milfoil.
Like, if I try to slap this man back awake, will it work?
You can for a few moments, but you get a couple babblings out of him. But
We're not going to get
wind
anything
can,
more useful out of
can
him.
disperse the smoke, and cold can freeze the water.
Okay, I think we need to call on the air dolls. They have the wind. If wind
Were
is
they
going to be
not-
involved, we need them.
Were they not there when we went, or?
I went to talk to them. They didn't want to tell me anything. They just gave a lot of platitudes, which is probably what all the noble houses are saying to each other right now. But if we tell them that some shit is about to happen right now, and they might be the only ones who could help,
Is Nigel still here?
He is. I mean, he's drafting letters to the... Or not letters, but messages to send out with runners to relay
Think-
what he's learned from Kristen.
All right, if we want to go that route, we can deliver that mail.
I would imagine that my scribe is assisting in those endeavors, right?
Yeah, if you want.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
I mean, how long does it take to actually physically make it across the city up to where the boat is docked?
Through crowds of people.
Yeah.
Would depend upon a lot of factors, but 15, 20 minutes perhaps.
Okay.
Depending on
Got
routes
2
you take.
hours. Is there anything better we should be doing for the next 2 hours before we head up there?
I think sitting here for doing nothing is a bad idea.
All right. Do you want to go and just all as a group go and check on the air dolls?
Yeah.
Yeah, make that.
Are you
Does
guys
anyone
bringing
have
along
someone who
Nigel's
can watch
message with you?
Prism?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems like a good reason to get in.
And yeah,
We
who
wanna
is
bring-
staying behind and watching Kristen?
Do we want to bring Kristen with us? Or is he?
I'll stay back and I'll stay
He has
ahead.
difficulty.
I'll stay back and watch Kristen.
Can't we have just like guards of the house watch him, or
You can.
do we not trust them?
Do we still have the guards who are watching that underground area on
Yeah.
on hire?
One of them.
The
The,
one
other
that
one
stayed?
went off with the librarian. Yeah, you can put
Yeah.
him in charge, or you could leave Edmont behind.
I think we should put him in charge. I don't want to get separated if a wall of water splits between us and the house.
Splitting party, not good.
So arriving at House Airdall for the second time this week, this time with a much larger party, and you're bringing Nigel's message along as well. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. When you do, I don't have all of the speaker is not here. What was the name of the one you were wanting to marry? I know we introduced him.
Well, his name was John DeVale. I don't know that
Yes.
I'm gonna marry him.
You're gonna.
He's-
It's
he's
gonna
on the
happen.
list.
You show up and he's already dressed. He's got the eighth
Okay.
art. He's the one you meet with and
Yes.
deliver the message. He considers it. And upon doing so, he confides that was he the heir of this house?
You said he was like the Lugrin of this house.
The Lugrin of this house. Okay.
So he's like the second in line. I don't know if he's even related to the speaker or not.
Oh, he must be part of the speaker's household. Okay. When he receives the message, then he would put you in the room with the speaker's heir, whoever that is. I don't think we've introduced that character yet. And they confide that house magicians from Airdall have been working closely with the church this past week to put together weather magic in order to repel waves or storms or anything of this nature, that these precautions are already being taken. Do you tell them the source of your information, where you heard about this?
I think we probably should.
Who do you tell them said wind disperses the smoke, cold freezes the water?
Someone who is innately in tune to elemental magic, such that whatever's happening right now overpowered their senses.
They're going to want a name. Who is this person? They have to know if they
A
can
fire
trust.
cultist we captured.
Well, he
Any-
turned himself in.
If anybody would know about smoke, well, do you tell him he turned himself in, or do you tell him you captured him? Because Ekon said one we captured.
Yeah, no, we'll say he turned himself in. We can give him the full explanation if they want it.
So I'm going to say that any magic spell over 6th level, you guys probably wouldn't know in terms of it being like a codified spell. Anything of that hot level or higher would be seen as very advanced magic. Would be seen as on the scale of the greatest magic users in the world. Like a whole house. Like the biggest magic your household was able to put together was the scrying spell, which is 5th level. That's something that somebody who's grown up with your house magic and studied it her entire life had become capable of doing. Functionally, what they're saying their house is putting together is the control weather spell, which is an 8th level spell. This is a massive amount of magic, and it kind of represents the full force of Erdal's knowledge and accumulated secrets and powerful relics unearthed or created within Lusteria.
But are they the ones who are generating this huge elemental magic field? Or
No.
is that something else? Okay, so it's not you guys.
But they're aware
someone
of it.
Okay.
The lake itself is agitated somewhat. Their theory is, and when I say there, I mean whoever has these high-level weather magic credentials in House Erdal. The working theory is that Endoline has a mage somewhere in the city who Erdal's people are looking for currently that is trying to raise a tidal wave using the lake and failing. That's their working theory. They'll know more once they capture this guy and bring him in.
Can we help?
That depends on what you're offering to assist.
Do they have an idea of where this person is, or are they just beating the whole city?
I mean, they have their agents working over their leads, just the way you would in their case. But when they're giving you this information, they're giving it to you in a very, like, things are under control. We're handling this kind of way. They don't want to give you any information about what their leads are or where the guy is, because you guys aren't allies. You're just noble houses having a conversation. Unless you are going to offer them something, like, here's what Veritas can help you in locating this guy.
And do we have magic that can help locate that? I'm not sure we do.
I mean, Ruby can cast Locate Creature, but that's not a very big radius.
We don't have her available.
I mean, she's not around, yeah. So.
We could offer.
I mean, the closest thing I have to like some kind of detection magic would be those goggles that I can infuse, because I studied those eyes, which I don't currently have. I have on my infusion list, but I don't have.
Okay,
I actually don't know what I have infused. Crap.
If someone is casting a spell at that level, it would... I mean, I don't think you could cast a spell like that without someone noticing.
And they've definitely noticed. They know what magics are kind of seeping up from the lake. But it sounds like this guy's having trouble doing it because it's a lake. It's not the ocean. You don't have an infinite source of water that's probably connected to the plane of water at some point.
Okay, well...
The ocean is a mighty, untamable beast. A lake is just kind of choppy on some days.
Okay, well... this doesn't mean anything. If Evie was going to try to cast a spell in a place no one would find her, she would do it here.
On that just wooded island?
I mean, that's just her shot in the dark. That's saying that's what I do, but that doesn't mean that's what they're doing. They could
Okay.
have a lab under the ground somewhere where no one could.
Is
find them.
locate object or locate creature among Veritas's house spells?
Yes, both are, I think.
Mm-hmm. As well as scrying.
I'm going to say you guys can't get your hands on a scroll of scrying. But they would not say no to scrolls of locate object and locate creature to assist in their search of this guy.
Like, is that something we have laying around?
I think-
It's something you could arrange, because you could just go back and say, hey, we were talking to Airdal. Nigel, can you get these scrolls together?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I have no problem with that. Because they're actively searching for this. And...
Here's something else we have. We have the Legend Lore spell, which only Ruby could cast that, but that would reveal the name of legendary people. It would reveal information about someone who is capable of casting a spell of this caliber.
Legend lore is what? Is that level like 4 or 5? That's pretty high up there, yes?
Yeah, I think it's a level 5 spell.
So, if you're telling these guys about legend lore, well, I guess, are you telling them? Because if you're telling them,
I mean, do we think Ruby?
Ruby,
It's
we don't
not
know
that
where
we
she
can't
is.
cast these. It's do we think Ruby is going to be available in the next hour to cast this?
If we are getting like a scroll or getting something from Ruby, we want to probably cast the divination spell. Because we just straight up get to ask a question.
Do we have that?
Yeah, it's on the list.
We could get a scroll of that, maybe. That might give us some leads.
Where like you just ask a guy, it's you ask a single question concerning a specific goal, event, or activity.
oh, is that the wheel or woe spell?
No,
that's
that's
not
augury. I've got that one prepared. Divination is just ask, I think, a yes or no question to a god.
Well, let's finalize this first. If you agree to offer them locate object and locate creature scrolls, that's not something you have. That's something you can arrange. Like servants can run these over.
Yeah.
If you do that, locate creature is level 3. Is that correct? I started cataloging all the spells into a spreadsheet, but I haven't completed that.
Locate creature is 4.
It's 4. Okay,
Locate
that's pretty good.
object.
Locate object is 2.
Yeah, locate object is a little lower level. Bear with me 1 second, because they will give you something in return for this. Trading with magic scrolls like this is something of a handshake amongst...
See, this is the kind of thing I was trying to do earlier, and they didn't want to talk to me.
Well, I ask you, what are you offering them? And you didn't offer them anything. So you walk away from the house tonight with their good thanks. If your servants are going to come by later with these locate scrolls, they tell you if it leads to anything, if they manage to capture the wizard that they think is in the city somewhere, the Endeline has snuck him in somehow, if it leads to anything, you'll be the first to know. We'll send a runner over, you'll get that information. Also, they offer you 2 scrolls of Gust of Wind to take with you right now with their good thanks, because it sounds like wind can disperse the smoke. They have people that can just cast this. It's a 2nd level weather spell.
Okay, but this sounds like something that would be very useful in the coming days.
Which is exactly why they're offering it to you.
Mm-hmm. Now we need to find a house that can do ice.
I mean, none of us can use it.
None of us can cast Gust of Wind.
We can't use it from a scroll.
It's not on the Cleric or Artificer spell list, and it's
That
not on our
seems
house
like
spell
that
list.
seems contrary to the point of having a scroll. As if
I mean, that's one of the rules of 5th edition. It has to be on your
It has to be on your spell list.
your spell list.
We're not
And
nine rogues yet.
yeah, so that means none of them could use our scroll either. That kind of renders.
Well,
scrolls-
their house probably employs some number of wizards and clerics and mostly artificers.
Mm-hmm.
We need a druid or a sorcerer or a wizard.
Do you want to hire somebody from House Airdal, like a low-level spellcasting servant, who is able to use these scrolls for you? This is a service they're happy to provide you. However, in doing so, you would have to first admit to them that you can't use these scrolls.
Look, I say we just take the scrolls and trade them for something we can use, or give them, just put them in our house vault. I'm sure someone in our house has at least 1 level of wizard.
We're running on a time crunch here. We don't have time to run
I
back
say
and
just
forward.
throw these in the vault, let Nigel deal with it.
Okay, so you leave House Airdal then with their good thanks. You've made an exchange of scrolls, and they look forward to working closely with you. If their search pans out, they'll make sure you're the first to know. And they don't press you too much about this fire cultist's shenanigans, although that's a choice bit of information. You're putting a little more trust in them than they are in you right now.
Well,
It's okay. They may be dead in a few minutes.
On the way back,
The church already knew.
you guys are moving back to the house when you hear the water for the first time. No matter where you are in Brennanine, you're never that far away from the water. A couple of city blocks. On clear days, you can almost always look between the buildings and see the lake, whether the inner lake or the outer lake. But you hear it before anything else. It doesn't sound like the chop of the lake crashing against a port. It sounds like large quantities of water hitting stone and wood a few blocks in any direction from you. And then you start hearing shouts and people. And then you start seeing crowds billowing into streets.
We need to get to our boats.
And you
I
are
feel
right
like
on the cusp of pandemonium.
I feel like if we don't find the wizard who is doing this, I don't think the boats are going to matter.
When you get back to the house, Nigel informs you that the boats are prepared, that Elizabeth is ready to take the children down right now. No, he informs you that Elizabeth has already left with the children. He tells you, and by you, I mean you guys, plus Orson, plus Lugrin, who is drunk off of his gourd, and Denny, who is girded for battle. Like, he's wearing his ill-fitting armor, and he's ready to throw down. And he tells you that it is imperative to make it to the milfoil together, to make sure that the strength of House Veritas survives whatever's coming this night.
where's Ruby?
Ruby hadn't come home yet. She's still wherever she was.
What time of day is it?
Evening.
Is the sun down yet?
We need to go.
Yes, sun's down, because Kristen interrupted your evening meal.
Okay, so Orson, and Ekon pulls a chain burning with illusionary fire out of his spell component pouch and places it around Orson's helmet. So that's whatchamacallit, that's a continual flame infused chain so that he glows the light of a torch, and then I immediately light up my shield.
Okay, that's cool. Now I have a target for all my archers. Excellent.
That's his job.
Yeah. Listen, I know that we wanted to find the wizard doing this, but I don't think we have time. I think we need to go and chance it.
Your complication is Lugrin can move under his own power. He's been drinking all evening. He's not.
Yeah.
If you're taking Kristen will have to be led. It's on some level. He can walk, but I mean, he's.
Can we bring the hireling with us who's been watching him this time to carry him?
Yeah, you can bring any of your hirelings or your attendants that you want.
All right.
I mean, I think we have to bring them, or else they're going to stay in the city and die.
Oliver is definitely coming with me.
So, as you guys leave with your attendants, so your party, Orson, Lugrin, Denny, and you're leading Kristen, yes?
Yeah.
And then whoever has their attendants. Okay. So, there's 47 people in this party.
Correct.
Yeah.
And you have to make it from Dead Rabbit Way to the milfoil. And as you step out into the street, the sound of crashing water is all about you. And there are shouts in the street that some of the docks and some of the port areas, some of the fishing boats, and some of the low-lying houses closest to the lake in poorer districts of the city are being flooded, as though the lake itself is rising up. Is anybody trained in nature?
Orson is.
Of course it is.
Does anybody want to make that check for Orson?
He's got good rolls.
Yep, I'm rolling it. It is a 6 plus his bonus, which is nature int.
Yes.
Yes, so that's a 6.
Okay. You guys dumped his intelligence and charisma hard. I think he might be the only spellcaster I've ever recorded whose like spell save DC is a negative.
Yeah, but his only
6.
save spell is His only save is Fairy Fire, so just don't cast that one.
Everybody, like Genie is going to ask everybody to get into like a 10-foot square. Just everybody just squeeze in, and she's gonna. So for the next hour, I do have my protector turret out.
Is it skittering
And-
behind you on rook legs?
No, I'm carrying it because
Okay.
it's small.
It's
Or not
small or is
small,
it tiny?
It's tiny. Excuse me, it's tiny.
If it's
the
small, you're
tiny
like
one.
lumbering under it.
I don't actually see a reason to use the small one.
In
It
addition,
occupies space. It can
Right.
block a corridor.
In
I'm
addition
going-
to the crashing water that you're hearing and the reports of flooding and the crowds massing up, you see in the sky, in the night sky overhead, very clear night, very crisp and cold as well. Like snow hasn't started falling yet, but you're only a week or two away. But you see 4 points of red light far, far away, as though they're stars, that were not there when you entered the manor a moment ago.
That's a little unsettling.
Let's take our break now. It's about 4:10. And when we come back, I have a whole list of bullshit.